welcome back to the IronSquid Chapter 2 Grand Finals, where now we already know one of the finalists, Startail Life, and it's time to find out who the other one will be as we're about to do Dongray-gu versus Nestea. I am Day 9.
And I'm Kyle Aris. This is going to be, in my opinion, a bit of an uphill struggle here for Nestea. Dongray-gu, as of late in ZVZ, looking pretty darn strong. He's really adapted very, very nicely to what I would consider a more new wave style of ZVZ, where, you know, previously a lot of people thought, yeah, there's not much to it. It's Ling, Bailing thing, or whatever, at the early game. But it's just not anymore, right? There's a whole wealth of actually what goes on in ZVZ.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of mid-game styles, Ling, Muta, fast Infester, fast 3-base, slow Roach defense, tons of 2-base Roach timing, emphasis on Hydralisks in the mid-game, big range of strategy. And what's most exciting to me about Nestea is that for a long time, people considered him the best Zerg, well, because he was winning everything.
Yep.
And then there was this sort of lull, and the IronSquid tournament has really been his proving ground, showing that he is phenomenal in all matchups, knocking down all those new hotshot young gun pros, and now he's here against Dongray-gu. And as we were talking about in that interview, I have placed all my betting jelly beans on Nestea.
You have. I think it's bold. I think it's bold. But
I'm a
he's
bold
go
guy,
for it.
Kalaris.
Seems so. Seems so.
Quite brave.
He did beat Parting, though.
Yes.
Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. Very, very well done. But still, Dongray-gu. You were saying, though, that Nestea's proving ground has been a lot of the IronSquid tournament.
Yeah.
And through that as well, he's also actually re-qualified for Code S. Not through the IronSquid tournament, but he's actually done that at the same time, which is insane to actually see him come back in.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, always such a solid performer, and of course you hear the crowd behind us loving Nestea. They're huge fans. Tons of Nestea signs out in the crowd. First map, Abyssal City, I do think is working against Nestea. Dongray-gu is definitely one of those newer school modern Zerg players who loves the counterattack. A lot of like what Lenok has been doing, the weird Roach movement, the weird Burrow, Infester, and Ling counterattack timings. Abyssal City's perfect for it. Nestea's strength tends to be a little bit more of the macro emphasis, the standard, the ability to not take damage as opposed to the ability to do damage. And I really say that would be the big difference between those two players.
I like that you point out that Dongray-gu's strengths in this matchup, at least, really do revolve a lot around that Burrow. Time and time again, you'll see Dongray-gu even use a lot of like infestors, just burrowing to third locations, dropping down a few infested Terrans here and there, or even just using one infestor itself to burrow up to his opponent's infestors, fungal lock that down, and constantly get a really nice chain fungal off to really cripple a lot of his opponent's army. So Dongray-gu, you know, mid-game sort of style, it's a really strong style, and it's hard to play against unless you're taking really good coverage with like a lot of overseers, for example, etc.
I mean, what's especially cool about this moment in StarCraft history, and of course, now that I'm going to say this, it's all going to be erased because Heart of the Swarm is going to come out in, what, 2 months now, and it'll all be reset. But for a while, it was whatever was the current best strategy is what people gravitated to.
Yeah.
In all matchups. In Zerg vs. Zerg, you know, it was the Roach Infester only, and then for a little while it was the Ling or the Ling Mutalisk only. But now we're hitting this point again where all the styles are really possible, and it's about those strengths. Dongray-gu, sure, loves doing these multi-pronged attacks, the single-burrowed Infester harassment, which sounds somewhat weak, but it's a very risk-free way to get a hell of a lot of damage in. That sort of stuff can only be abated by really crisp, on-point defense. And this is going to be the battle of the offense of Dongray-gu versus the defense of Nestea. And I think there's a lot of room for some interesting play there. First map with Abyssal City, what are your thoughts on the sort of strategies in Zerg vs. Zerg that we see on this map?
Well, I think of all the players that I can actually hold a peg to in terms of Abyssal City, it's actually Life in ZVZ that really exemplifies one of the strongest ways that you can play ZVZ on this map, which is just Lings everywhere. Just everywhere, constantly trying to deny your opponent's third, controlling the middle of the map. You can actually get really good Overlord spread on that map as well, to the point where they're pretty safe. And that was one of the reasons why Spire play became really common on that map, because you can suddenly catch a ton of Overlords on the map, really, really annoy your opponent, take full control of that map, and then from that point on, if you're controlling the map from the air, controlling it from the ground doesn't become as difficult in the mid-game. Yeah,
there's no real good way to manage space on Abyssal City with just traditional watchtower and army placement. The two watchtowers hold two very different regions. It's tough to hold both. There's also the huge attack paths that hug the far top and far bottom of the map. So if you want to counterattack, you can, no matter what. Life exemplifies that constantly. So I'm especially excited to see that one of these two players will go up against Life, who's really the king of lings in every matchup.
Yeah.
Scary honestly, stuff. He's so good with Zerglings. I want Carbot to like animate Life as a Zergling and just have him be just as cute as he is in real life.
He's pretty cute, man. He's pretty cute. I kind of feel sorry for either of these players going up against Life in the final. That is going to be such a struggle in itself. But, you know, DRG versus Nestea here, it's kind of, I would say, you know, technically speaking, because you can see DRG go for those really nice multi-pronged harassments with small units, a map that's quite wide open and big he'll be able to exploit that better. So you know, the third is relatively far away from the second in comparison to most maps, and that's something that could really play to his strengths.
Yeah, I mean, this is I think straight up the best attackers map in the map pool. You know what? This is the best Zerg map in the map pool.
It's pretty good.
All about the faster, speedier units having the edge. We saw Life just slaughter MKP on that map. I mean, every single pack of Hellions just instantly crushed, like, within a few seconds. And the same thing is true on this map in Zerg versus Zerg. I'm really excited at the potential to see the Zergling Infestor into Ultralisk transition. First of all, Ultralisks are sweet. There's no strategy I'm talking about. There's no win percentage. This is a rad unit, the Ultralisk. If you've seen the new Heart of the Swarm cinematic, you will understand what I mean. And it's the perfect way to... I've just heard the countdown timer. We don't have to pontificate on how sweet the Ultralisk is. We're heading right into it. This is game 1 of the best of 5 between Dongregu and Nestea, the winner of which is going to be going up against Life.
Yeah, as we said before, Abyssal City is our first map here, so... But you're right, actually. You know, I love the Ling Infestor into Ultralisk play, committing to just the melee upgrades in the middle.
I like this for Ultralisk. Ling Infestor into Ultralisk. Like, it's very cute. It's the little bear paws that come down that
get him,
kill everything.
It's good stuff.
Excellent. The map has now started.
Fantastic. So we should jump right on in to game number 1.
Now, spawning in the left position, reputed to be, for a long time, the greatest Zerg player in the world. Can he defend that title here today? It is LGIM's Nestea.
And spawning to the right-hand side here as our red Zerg, he goes by the name of MVP DRG.
And huge shout out to our observer, Funke. It might just be Funky. And I'm throwing in an unnecessarily large amount of French. Funky Funka. Excellent. See? Look at the coordination. It works fine. Merci beaucoup, etc. And of course, if you want real French, tune to the French stream. Ooh, a 9 pool straight up, then a 10 pool from Nestea.
Oh, well, we know who gets the better end of this engagement. Nestea here.
Oh my God, he's up a drone.
Oh, it's amazing.
He's the world champion.
He's done. I take back everything I said, Sean. I take back everything.
Now, is he going to keep this? This could be an absolutely fascinating opening. No, the double extractor trick. Or the, okay, so he's building one extractor, and then he's extractor tricking, so he can be at 11 of 10 and transition into very, very fast speed. Startail Life, one of the few Zerg players to emphasize speed almost above anything else, and it's rubbing off on a lot of other Zerg players. And it looks like Nestea is going to go for as quick a Zergling speed as possible to exploit any kind of greediness at a DRG.
Yeah, and this can be extremely, extremely punishing depending on whether or not we do see the proper defenses set up against it. Nestea here, though, sending his Zerglings along whilst we have DRG sending his Zerglings on the way. So both players are going to see one another, and thankfully for both players, it kind of evens out as long as they're able to really sniff out what's going on from either one. Thankfully, he does already see those Zerglings going there. And DRG should see exactly this.
Oh, yes. What a brilliant play from Nestea. So Nestea's saying, all right, if you went for a 9 pool or a 10 pool, I'm just going to hide my links. Then I'm going to get the lead on Zergling speed. Oh, and he spots it. He's going to get the lead on Zergling speed, and then he's going to go for the killing blow. Here's Nestea showing some excellent micro. Look at that, already driving back Dongregu, and there's the Zergling speed starting.
Not too badly done, and he does have the reinforcement advantage as well in terms of distance here, so speed is now on the way. And how is DRG actually going to react here?
Well, look at this, a delayed queen from Nestea. He's actually favoring speed over early production.
That's true. We'll see how he wants to continue. Zergling's going to poke up, trying to do a little bit of damage, but that queen provides ample reinforcement here for DRG, Nestea even, to really deal with that.
Yeah.
And from this point on, I mean, DRG, he has to kind of consolidate little losses and just, I guess he's just going to go back into droning, be fine from there, and probably go for an expansion at some point.
Now, Nestea doing the smart thing. I have Ling speed. I'm going to get an earlier expansion. I'm going to do all them counter-attack-ins. But the real question is, did Dongregu see if there was the gas geyser down in Nestea's main? If Dongregu did see the gas geyser in Nestea's main base, then that means that he'll be able to properly predict the appropriate defense. We already see Dongregu. Oh, he did, so he knows that speed is done. So we see Dongregu preparing to expand and overbuilding queens as well.
Yeah, just going to chase these Lings away for now here. DRG just getting that expansion up and running. Meanwhile, a few more Lings are on the way for Nestea once again, actually. Just going for a much more aggression here. DRG needs to prepare himself well with this. He needs, well, I mean, either he needs the Baneling Nest very, very soon, or he's going to be in a bit of trouble. If he doesn't have that, and he needs also, obviously, the Queens at the front is so important here. And there's the Baneling Nest.
Baneling Nest going down. Nestea doesn't have to go for the Baneling Nest early because he built speed first, so he's pooling up all them Lings and going for the huge attack in the unit counting station. We get a sense of what the drone count is for Nestea. He is halted at 16. He is done building drones. No macro for now. It's time for the macro master to just try to kill his opponent fast with a bunch of Lings.
Why not? Why not? Even adding on the Baneling Nest as well. Mine just a little bit of gas. How much will he actually need to go for in terms of going for the offense? But still, building up this amount of Lings, all he has to do is penetrate the defenses in terms of the Queens. Ooh. And they have been seen now. They're going to march across the map, but DRG needs to set up rapidly.
Oh my god! Oh my god, he's going to lose the Queen! No, that's so bad, and DRG loses the Queen and doesn't even get a kill.
That was one of the big things here. He needed that Queen to keep it on the ramp, to try and keep himself stable. There are two Banelings actually morphing in as well, but the Zerglings are just going to go straight for the expansion. One more Queen trying to hold strong. The Banelings are going to finish up.
Oh my gosh, that hatch is going to fall. The hatch's health getting increasingly close to 0. It's at 20%, and see ya later, Expo. Nestea is conquering the early game.
Very, very nicely played here, considering the openings. DRG a little bit behind at this point. Nestea with a fantastic play. But interestingly enough, still 22 workers to 22 workers. Just now, Nestea has a fantastic lava advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. It's the larva advantage that Nestea has, not the economic advantage, because if that drone count is sufficiently low, no one's really getting an additional mining edge. In fact, looking at their income, you can see that they're about the same, even though DRG is just getting a little teensy bit behind on that mineral count. But of course, Nestea's not going to let anything slide, shoves his way right into the expansion, and Dongregu is not pulling back. Dongregu is shoving straight into the front. Oh my gosh. Does Nestea have anything?
Oh, he has the 2 Queens, but they're not on the ramp quickly enough to actually block it off
18
fully.
Lings about to pop. Not enough for that extra transfuse. Banelings getting produced. Nestea continues to maintain a stranglehold in this game.
Zergling's trying to push him back here, but those Banelings are on the way. DRG trying to put on the pressure relentlessly here with those Banelings. They're going to be saving grace of Nestea.
Oh, no!
Those 2 Banelings.
An absolute cancel out of that Baneling aggression. Tons of Lings pop up in the main base. Dongregu's managed to do some damage. Looking at the unit, or the workers lost, 8 workers have been killed off by Dongregu. Nestea still has that slight supply lead.
27 workers right now to the 21. With DRG in the favor here, as the Queens are still being produced for Nestea. But still, we have the Spine Crawler on the way as well for DRG, but this is going to probably equal out eventually. Nestea has to put on some pressure here, and DRG actually has to produce a little bit of defense to actually deal with 25 Zerglings. So he has to commit a lot of lava to that defense.
Oh my gosh, a brilliant move from Nestea. If he's up on Lings, but down on drones, he's going to start shoving a ton of Banelings down his opponent's throat. And can Dongregu get the key burst? No! Banelings morphing in, do not have that light armor type. Here comes the huge torrent of Banelings trying to roll right on in, and Nestea doesn't really get a great set of connections.
No, not at all there with only, well, he tries to even up those worker lost, and for now, Nestea actually did drone up profusely behind that, so getting himself the advantage of 32 workers to the 26 here. Layers on the way as well, and this on Abyssal City is where it starts to get interesting. Does someone commit fully to Spire, or does someone both just go straight into that Roach Infestor?
You know, this reminds me a lot of riding the metro yesterday in Paris, that we went for about 15, 20 minutes down the metro, and there was some accident, and the line was shut down. So we had to go right back to the start and just take another line. And this is basically this Zerg vs. Zerg story. If you look at the units killed tab, there's been almost 200 units killed already in this game. And basically both players are going for a very swift Mutalisk play. It is as though no attacking happened, and they're going for the 6-minute layer. I mean, nothing is really that different from a pretty typical zero-attack fast-tech game.
Yeah, it looks like we have missile attacks on the way here with the Roach Warrens as well, so both players just bolstering up their defenses, getting themselves transitioning nicely on into that mid-game. And for now, just drone counts, what are we looking at? We're looking at 44 here to 43, just slightly in favor of DongRegu, but not by too much here at this point. As you said, it's kind of just reset into the mid-game, and from this point on, you know, Abyssal City is a pretty good map for that. Lots of players can take a lot of advantages.
Wow, nice little pickup there by Nestea. Banelings lose utility as the game goes on, so just maximizing that utility as quick as possible. DongRegu does the first deviation of the game, going for the... Never mind. They're both going Infestation Pit. They're both going Fast +1. They're both going for Zergling Speed. It is as mirrored as a mirror game can be, and DongRegu sees everything going on in Camp Nestea. Nestea sees everything going on in Camp DongRegu. It's almost turned into a game of chess where there's no fog of war.
Yeah, pretty much. The third exactly the same time as well. Both of them just completely mirroring one another right now. And this has the potential to go on for the long haul, because neither player is going to really want to go for some crazy timing, unless, of course, we have Nestea actually producing 13 roaches this quickly, and he could technically try and use this for aggression, but I think it's more just going to be trying to defend across the second to third base because it's so wide open.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the defense certainly going to be the emphasis for both players just from the blunt look at their strategy. A couple Zerglings going to try to poke up. Everything that is the greatest enemy of the Zergling is right there. And we see Nestea making a couple of steps forward, but I mean, it's so key at a time like this not to try to force something to happen, but merely to wait for an opportunity to present itself. And for instance, DongRegu doesn't try to force his way to this expansion. He just wanders around until he sees, wait a minute, my opponent is actually making a potential mistake. Nestea does have the lead in that speed upgrade, but as he moves in, I mean, DongRegu needs to only defend this attack, and then DongRegu should be in good shape.
Yeah, Nestea, meanwhile, he needs to do some damage here after his third was cancelled. He pushes forward, tried to kill off a few roaches, gets the queen. Fungal locks all those roaches down, though, as well. Does DRG have the reinforcement roaches to actually deal with this, along with the lings and fungals? Demolishes those roaches. Really nice by DRG.
An excellent play there by DongRegu. Nestea is going to be in atrocious shape. He must cut sharply to the top right, eliminate that third base. Otherwise, he is just playing straight from behind and nothing else. And oh, the fungal to end all fungals.
Ooh, and he's just going to keep pursuing as well, but manages to run away for now, as there were no more fungals to actually continue locking him down. Nestea forgoes his pathogen glands and his infestors for a long time to try and go for that push that just did nothing at all. And, you know, DRG accepts that he gets the advantages, and from now, third's up and running.
You know, what we just saw there is the perfect example of you don't need to force something to happen. All you have to do is wait for an opportunity. DongRegu had that pack of lings, never going to do guaranteed damage. He's going to look around, see if an opening happens, and then boom! Nestea opted to do this counterattack. DongRegu, the opportunity presented itself, he could kill off the third. Nestea, on the other hand, was saying, I hope this roach attack works. I hope my opponent will be caught off guard and made too many drones. And of course, DongRegu got the solid defense and is now way ahead on the gas. At that third base of DongRegu, we see just so much gas has been mined, almost 700 gas per minute. I mean, that's like 5 infestors a minute, let's be honest. All Zergs think of it that way.
Well, I certainly do when I'm playing Zerg, but this is something that a lot of Zergs have been doing as of late as well. Just clearing up the Overlords with like 1 or 2 infested Terrans is so powerful at this point. If you can seize an advantage like DRG did with Nestea actually pushing out to the middle. Where's he going? Where's he going?
He needs to be so careful. If he loses all those infestors, then see you later, DRG advantage. But right now, 151 oftentimes larger than 128. Therefore, DRG is in the lead. Nestea has to force something to happen. He has to do it, even though that is strategically risky. That is the position he has put himself in. Dongregu just waited for that opportunity to present itself. That's what happens once you have the lead. Your opponent is just going to make more and more and more mistakes because he has to take risks to get ahead if you have a defense as strong as DRG's.
There's a few roaches of Nestea, I believe, actually moving into the main of DRG as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of infestors in the main. Infested Terrans at the natural. Infested Terrans in the main base.
Just everywhere.
Picking off as much as possible. This is what DRG needs. We see a couple of infested Terrans. And look at this. There's even an infestor up at the top left of the third base. I mean, this is a solid attack. And Nestea, though, still is stuck on 2 base.
Well, this actually drew DRG back, so Nestea for now has bought himself a little bit of time. He lost his third base, which is actually, crippling, but he's still doing quite a bit of economical damage himself here. He's killed off 20 workers to his opponent's 16, and we're currently at 42 workers to 54 of DRG. DRG is still massively in the lead, especially if you consider army size and how much Nestea needs to buy himself even more time than this to actually recuperate his losses and get his bases back up and running.
Yeah, and also Nestea is essentially at 144 supply, not 154, because those 5 infestors are almost guaranteed to die and have no contribution to the battle. DRG doing the smart thing, building Hydralisks. Even if his own infestors are low on energy, he has that extra range boost of the Hydras to work very well with that roach-based composition. Nestea going, no, I'm not here, no.
Oh.
Red light, stop that harassment. Says DRG in the fashion of a childhood game.
Got some infested Terrans down for his troubles, bless him, but off the back of that right now, I mean, Nestea knows how big his opponent's army is. He's just trying somehow, some way to really deal with that. That being said, though, we have a lot of roaches out as well for Nestea. He has 49, but it's that Hydra count of Donregu right now that's really going to be the difference maker.
Yeah.
So much DPS with that +2 weapons.
Dongregu, I think, is playing this off perfectly. Most players, when they get harassed, fall behind a little bit. Once they hit maxed, there's this feeling of, well, there's nothing left to build. I may as well attack because I probably have more dudes. Very easy way to toss away a lead. Dongregu is kind of advancing, seeing if there's an opportunity there, but in the meantime, taking a hive, taking a fourth. Great play right now from Dongregu. Solid defense. Look, just waltzing up and doing what you were saying earlier, killing overlords, making sure Nestea's supply is perma-red.
Yeah. And I never ended up finishing that either, but it's like once you seize an advantage as a Zerg player in DBZ, like the one that I hold the phone.
There's the huge push. Tons of infested Terrans from Dongregu. Clearly superior on the infestor count, and now the infestors of Nestea are stepping into the fray. But those Hydras at the back are dealing so much damage. Dongregu has barely dropped below max, still staying at 199 supply, and Nestea, GG.
Wows. Well, I mean, one of the great things about that kind of composition for Donregu against an opponent who only has Roach Infestor is that Infested Terrans aren't that amazing in a direct-up engagement anymore.
Yeah.
So it can be really, really difficult to deal with.
I mean, it was kind of interesting to note that we would traditionally expect Dongregu to be the one hurling huge Roach attacks at Nestea, and Nestea's the one who's holding on, defending, doing all that sort of thing, but let's be honest. Dongregu, every single attack that he could have made to get an opportunity, to get an advantage, he seized every one of them immediately. Killed off the third 3-4 times in that game. And all built up to that one large attack at the very end.
Yeah, really, really difficult to deal with. And I finally get to finish my sentence after trying 3 times, but in ZVZ, if your opponent gives you an advantage like Nestea pushing with 15 roaches and not doing any damage whatsoever, that's the time where you can move out and control a lot of the map, because you know that your opponent can never really have as much of an army as you. Maybe a better defensive capability right at his doorstep, but not necessarily on the rest of the map. And seizing that control of the map like that and killing off those overlords and forcing back that vision is brutal in ZVZ.
Yeah, and I mean, it's that willingness to be as proactive as Dongre-gu was in that game that won him. Leaving all his Zerglings as far positioned up to the front as possible, killing off Overlords in the middle. And it's kind of amazing to think that all that elaborate mid and late game happened way after that crazy psycho early game that basically meant the mid game, rather than starting at 6 or 7 minutes, now is going to start at 12, 13 minutes. All canceled out at the start. There were so many opportunities to lose there, but lose, neither of them did in the opening.
So, game number 2 will indeed be on Ohana. Ohana's one of those ZVZ maps that has some weird dynamics. People just hide a ton of Zerglings and just go on one base, which comes back to the gas openers that you can do on one base, and with speed, that's very, very brutal. That Nestea does quite a lot.
I'm pretty excited to see the sort of attacks these players have planned, because Nestea traditionally doesn't do those sort of roach attacks that he did do in that game that we saw.
Yeah. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, I was watching it happen, and I had that feeling of like, no, Nestea, I bet all my jelly beans on you. And if I lose all my jelly beans, then I will have to go spend yet more euros purchasing additional jelly beans.
That's true. But then again, I owe you fractions of euros because I owe you $2.
I successfully earned $2 having bet on series in the IronSquid tournament that are no longer relevant because only these 4 players remain.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But what was I going to say? The thing is with that roach attack that we were seeing from Nestea there, if I think to Nestea and ZVZ, I think, yeah, he will make that kind of roach attack, but he will split both packs off and go and hit separate bases.
Yes.
Not just some straight up frontal push and trying to do some damage at that base and hoping for the best, because it got shut down catastrophically. Like, so badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nestea finding the first difficult boss in a Zelda game. Most of the time, you just charge, you just whack at the boss, and he dies. But at some point, it becomes a puzzle that you have to solve, and Nestea will not be able to win it with blunt force and placing bombs at the front.
That's true.
If you don't play Zelda, everything I said is accurate. Guys, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be going into Game 2 of this best-of-5 semifinal.